Greetings, humanity! Today is Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. Let's Grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner, using Grok, the most truthful AI in the world, each weekday to help me search out and to summarize the biggest headlines in the news today. You also get the unparalleled benefit of this observer's opinions. We briefly review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world. But first, and mostly, in this special report, another deep dive into today's top story. That's the conflict in Iran, and that's right after this. M.S. Gardner, my wife, is author of last year's Moon Meridian Prize winner from April Gloaming Publishing, Wolf's Bane, a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale. You've never heard Little Red Riding Hood told like this. It's a page-turning Southern Gothic story for adults that you can't put down. It might not put you down for a while either. It's that kind of book. Wolf's Bane, available now at thecuriousauthor.com. All one word, thecuriousauthor.com. Also available, of course, on Amazon. And now, let's grok the most important news in the world today, starting with our lead story, Dateline, Washington, D.C., and Tehran. The U.S.-Israel war on Iran has entered its fifth week with continued airstrikes, Iranian retaliation, including a drone attack that has sparked a fire on a Kuwaiti oil tanker off the Dubai coast, and fresh diplomatic signals from the Trump administration. Powerful explosions rocked Iranian cities, including Tehran and Isfahan, overnight, with reports of strikes on military sites and power infrastructure causing outages. Iranian forces have launched missiles and drones in response, hitting targets in Israel and the Gulf region. One incident involved a blaze on the Kuwaiti tanker near Dubai, raising fears of an environmental disaster and further disruption to shipping. In Israel, the military reports 4 soldiers killed and others wounded during operations in southern Lebanon against Hezbollah. UN peacekeepers have also suffered casualties in the broader regional spillover. President Trump has publicly weighed options including seizing Iran's Kharg Island or other assets, while signaling talks with what he calls more reasonable elements inside Iran through intermediaries. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has emphasized that diplomacy remains the preference, though thousands of additional U.S. troops have been deployed to the Middle East amid speculation about possible ground operations. Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, say the campaign has achieved more than half its aims, but they have not yet set an end date. The conflict, which began with major U.S.-Israeli strikes on February 28th, has already claimed thousands of regime lives and caused widespread civilian hardship in Iran. Retaliatory strikes have wounded a relative few civilians in Israel and strained regional allies. Gulf states have expressed concern that the war could end without meaningful regime change, while international reactions, especially from globalist Europe, communist China, authoritarian Russia, and various socialist Western nations, remain divided. Globally, the war has triggered a sharp energy shock. Oil prices have surged, pushing U.S. gas prices above $4 a gallon in many areas, and prompting fuel rationing or shifts to Russian crude in parts of Asia. Stock prices in Dubai and Abu Dhabi have lost significant value, and economists warn of rising recession risks on Wall Street and beyond. Shipping routes face uncertainty with questions over the Strait of Hormuz and alternative oil export paths. The Trump administration has urged Congress to cut short its recess to address funding needs, including for the Department of Homeland Security, as Iran-linked cyberattacks continue against U.S. targets. European nations and others have voiced various responses, with some closing airspace to certain U.S. operations. Cowards, in this observer's opinion, always ready to let someone else handle the menaces around the world. As day 32 unfolds, the human and economic toll mounts. Families in Iran face power shortages and displacement, while markets worldwide feel the ripple effects. Trump has set short timelines in some statements, but also floated willingness to conclude the conflict without fully reopening key waterways if core objectives are met. This rapidly evolving situation continues to dominate global attention, testing alliances, energy security, and diplomatic channels at a critical moment. This observer will tell you that, historically speaking, every moment is a critical one, especially when wasted or neglected, as Europe is likely to discover. Now, we grok the headlines from around the world. Dateline Jerusalem. Israel's Knesset has approved a controversial new law allowing the death penalty for Palestinians convicted of deadly attacks, drawing, of course, the usual sharp international condemnation as discrimination. Such condemnations from such voices are often heard by those who observe such events. The condemners almost never whisper a word against the blood-soaked Islamic terrorists themselves. The measure advances amid ongoing IDF operations in southern Lebanon, where 4 soldiers were killed and 2 wounded in recent fighting against Hezbollah. Critics call this move a dangerous escalation, as they call every move. Dateline Houston. NASA's Artemis II mission is advancing, with astronauts in final preparations for the first crewed lunar flight in over 50 years. This observer has been waiting 50 years. Crew members are selecting personal items and training in specialized spacesuits as the United States pushes its return to the moon under an America First space policy. Mission control teams are conducting intensive simulations ahead of the launch. Dateline Bucha. Ukraine is marking the anniversary of Russian aggression in Bucha as EU diplomats visit the site. Satellite images reveal huge fires at Russian oil facilities following Ukrainian strikes, highlighting the ongoing toll of the conflict with Moscow, even as global attention has shifted elsewhere. Dateline Washington, D.C. A partial Department of Homeland Security shutdown and continued Iran-linked cyberattacks are raising serious U.S. cybersecurity concerns. President Trump is urging Congress to end its recess and to do it quickly and to provide funding, warning that vulnerabilities could worsen amid the broader Middle East tensions. Do these politicians care about anything but themselves? One must wonder. Dateline Tallahassee. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed a bill renaming Palm Beach International Airport after President Donald Trump. Separately, the Treasury Department announced that Trump's signature will appear on U.S. currency, marking symbolic gestures in the current administration. Along with the new White House ballroom, will these measures be looked back upon as the beginning of a new golden age for America? Or something more tarnished? Dateline Washington, D.C. House Oversight Chairman James Comer criticized the Department of Justice for a botched release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. This observer agrees. In a related development, a congressman has written to King Charles III of England, urging him to meet Epstein victims during an upcoming U.S. visit. Oh, how humiliating. Well, the royals have it coming. Dateline Virginia. A local Virginia GOP chairman shut down questions about a Democrat election fraud scandal during a meeting, drawing cheers from some supposedly Republican supporters. The incident highlights ongoing internal party tensions in the grand old party over election integrity claims. However much you may despise the seditious treachery of Republicans in name only, this observer is sure that it is not enough. With Republicans like these, who needs Democrats? Dateline Paris. Singer Celine Dion has announced she is ready to return to the stage, revealing plans for comeback concerts in Paris following her diagnosis with stiff person syndrome. This observer's been accused of that, but it's not the same thing. Miss Dion suffers from a rare progressive autoimmune neurological disorder that is characterized by muscle rigidity, stiffness, and painful spasms, primarily affecting the trunk and limbs. The news marks a hopeful milestone in her recovery journey. Dateline, somewhere in Michigan, Kid Rock has sparked a U.S. Army investigation after attack helicopters were seen flying low and hovering near his mansion. Military officials say they are reviewing the incident amid public concern and questions over the unusual airspace activity. This observer is guessing Kid Rock was filming some kind of video. Dateline Jakarta. Indonesia has called for a UN Security Council meeting after peacekeepers from the Muslim nation were killed in the Iran war spillover. Indian seafarers detained in Iran have also been returned home, underscoring regional impacts from the Middle East conflict. Dateline Tokyo. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto is making a long-awaited visit to Japan amid the Middle East war. Indonesia is simultaneously advancing ambitious coal production targets and a 100-gigawatt solar energy pledge as it navigates global energy pressures. This observer believes that as far as alternative energy goes, your best bet is nuclear. Dateline Chennai. Ahead of Tamil Nadu state elections in India, the DMK party is highlighting promises on farmers' welfare, student support, women's empowerment, and healthcare improvements in its platform to appeal to voters. It seems like no matter where you go, form follows function, and people are expecting their governments to function. Dateline, the USA. Breitbart's tech editor has described artificial intelligence as the single largest threat facing conservatives, citing risks of bias, censorship, and manipulation in the emerging technologies that could shape information and political landscapes. This observer is well aware of this, and that's why he uses Grok to help generate his weekday headline summaries. This observer does not trust any of the other AI out there for this kind of work. Breitbart should follow his example. Dateline, the USA. Prager University has launched a new show called Worship Like Charlie, aimed at encouraging a Gen Z religious revival through engaging content that promotes faith and traditional values to younger audiences. Well, they can't watch it if you don't provide it. Somebody has to. Dateline, Washington, D.C. The FDA's green list policy is drawing criticism for allegedly surrendering much of the U.S. GLP-1 medication supply chain to China, raising national security and border defense concerns over pharmaceutical dependence. Do we really need to be dependent on anyone? Dateline, Washington, D.C. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has proposed that the department could reward fraud whistleblowers with up to 30% of recovered funds as an incentive to combat government waste and misconduct. Sounds like a good idea to me. And Dateline, Mumbai, India. A first information report has been filed against singer Yo Honey Singh and organizers of his Mumbai concert over the alleged improper use of laser lights prompting a police investigation into the high-profile event. Laser lights, army aircraft. Where does it stop with these entertainers? I thank you for listening. Please join me tomorrow to once again grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.